They didn't show you the real footage. What WWE aired of Jey Uso's emotional backstage segment with Adam Pearce was heavily edited to hide the most shocking parts. The raw, unfiltered conversation that took place in that trainer's room will break your heart and expose WWE's systematic destruction of the Uso family. This wasn't just an emotional moment, it was Jey Uso's desperate plea for help as his entire world crumbled around him. And Adam Pearce's response? It will make you question everything you thought you knew about WWE's so-called leadership. What we're about to reveal goes beyond wrestling storylines. This is about a man's soul being crushed by the very company he helped build. The complete footage shows Jey Uso at his most vulnerable, and WWE's decision to exploit that vulnerability is disgusting. The hidden footage revealed the segment WWE showed you lasted barely 3 minutes, but the actual conversation between Jey Uso and Adam Pearce went on for over 20 minutes. What they cut out will shock you to your core and expose the true depths of WWE's manipulation. Security cameras captured every heartbreaking second as Jey, blood still streaming down his face from his earlier attack, broke down completely in front of the Raw general manager. This wasn't acting, this was a man's genuine anguish being exploited for content. "I don't know who I am anymore," Jey sobbed, his voice cracking with emotion. "They destroyed my family, they destroyed my cousin, and now they're trying to destroy me. I can't do this anymore." The raw pain in Jey's voice was so authentic that several production crew members had to leave the room. This was real human suffering being broadcast for entertainment. The bloodline destruction. What WWE didn't show you was Jey's complete breakdown as he described the systematic destruction of his family legacy. The bloodline wasn't just a wrestling storyline, it was Jey's entire identity, and watching it crumble has left him emotionally devastated. "Roman was everything to me," Jey continued through tears. "He wasn't just my tribal chief, he was the brother I looked up to, the leader I followed, the man I would have died for. And they took him away from me." The footage shows Jey punching the trainer's room wall so hard that his knuckles split open. The physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional agony of losing his family structure. "Solo turned on us, Jimmy chose his own path, and Roman might never come back," Jey whispered. "I'm all alone, Adam. For the first time in my life, I'm completely alone." Adam Pearce's shocking response. But here's what will make you furious. Adam Pearce's response to Jey's genuine emotional breakdown was cold, calculated, and completely corporate. Instead of showing compassion for a broken man, Pearce saw an opportunity. "Jey, I understand you're hurting," Pearce said with corporate sympathy. "But that pain, that anger, that emotion, that's what makes you valuable to this company. We need you to channel that suffering into your performance. Channel your suffering." Adam Pearce literally told the emotionally destroyed man to use his family trauma as entertainment content. "The callousness is staggering. Your family's destruction is tragic, but it's also your biggest storyline opportunity," Pearce continued. "WWE wants to capitalize on your authentic pain." The title match manipulation. The most shocking revelation comes when Pearce explains that Jey's upcoming title match wasn't earned through merit, it was given to him because WWE wants to exploit his emotional vulnerability. "The title opportunity isn't because you deserve it," Pearce admitted. "It's because our research shows that audiences connect with your suffering. Your pain sells tickets, Jey. Your pain sells tickets." WWE literally admitted they were profiting from Jey Uso's family trauma and emotional breakdown. This isn't sports entertainment, it's exploitation of human suffering. "We've analyzed the social media response to your emotional segments," Pearce continued. "Fan engagement spikes highest when you're crying or showing vulnerability. That's what we want more of. The family exploitation strategy. But the corporate manipulation goes even deeper. Our investigation reveals that WWE has been systematically destroying the Uso family structure specifically to create authentic emotional content for their programming." Internal WWE emails obtained by WrestlingNewsCC show executives discussing breaking down the bloodline systematically to maximize individual emotional storylines. "They planned the family destruction from the beginning. Jey's emotional breakdown is exactly what we wanted," read one executive email. "Genuine family trauma creates the most compelling television. They wanted to destroy Jey's family. The bloodline collapse wasn't organic storytelling, it was calculated emotional manipulation designed to create content from human suffering." The psychiatric evaluation cover-up. What's even more disturbing is evidence that WWE's medical staff recommended psychiatric evaluation for Jey Uso following his emotional breakdown, but corporate executives overruled the medical advice. "Mr. Uso is showing signs of severe depression and anxiety," wrote Dr. Sampson in his medical report. "He needs professional help, not more wrestling matches." WWE's response? They threatened Dr. Sampson with termination if he didn't clear Jey for competition. They literally ignored mental health concerns to keep exploiting his emotional state. The medication scandal. Even more shocking is evidence that WWE has been providing Jey with unprescribed medication to manage his emotional state while keeping him functional for wrestling performances. "They gave me pills to keep me calm during interviews and different pills to amp me up for matches," Jey allegedly told a close friend. "I don't even know what I'm taking anymore." WWE's medical staff was reportedly giving Jey a cocktail of mood stabilizers, stimulants, and pain medications without proper psychiatric supervision. They were chemically manipulating his emotional state for their content needs. The family communication ban, perhaps most cruel, is WWE's systematic prevention of communication between Jey and his estranged family members. The company has actively blocked reconciliation attempts to maintain their authentic family drama. Every time Jey tries to reach out to Jimmy or Solo, WWE intervenes, reveal the source close to the family. They don't want the family to reconcile because that would end their storyline. WWE has literally prevented a man from healing his family relationships to protect their television content. The moral bankruptcy is staggering. The Jimmy Uso separation. The most heartbreaking aspect is how WWE has manipulated the separation between Jey and his twin brother Jimmy. The brothers, who were inseparable their entire lives, are now kept apart by corporate policy. Jey cries every night about losing Jimmy, revealed the Backstage source. They were best friends, partners, brothers in every sense. WWE tore them apart and won't let them heal. The twin bond between Jey and Jimmy was sacred, and WWE destroyed it for storyline purposes. They took the most important relationship in Jey's life and turned it into corporate content. The Solo Sikoa betrayal orchestration. Our investigation reveals that WWE orchestrated Solo Sikoa's betrayal of the bloodline specifically to maximize Jey's emotional trauma. Solo didn't organically turn, he was instructed to destroy his family for storyline purposes. WWE told Solo exactly how to betray the family for maximum emotional impact, revealed an insider. They choreographed the destruction of Jey's support system. Solo's betrayal wasn't authentic character development, it was calculated psychological warfare designed to break Jey's spirit for entertainment value. The Roman Reigns abandonment. Even more devastating is evidence that Roman Reigns was instructed to emotionally abandon Jey as part of WWE's systematic destruction of his support system. The tribal chief's coldness toward Jey was scripted cruelty. Roman was told to make Jey feel worthless and abandoned, revealed a creative team source. They wanted Jey to feel completely isolated and emotionally destroyed. The man Jey looked up to as a brother and leader was directed to crush his spirit. WWE turned Roman into a weapon against Jey's emotional well-being. The psychological warfare. WWE's treatment of Jey Uso represents sophisticated psychological warfare designed to break down his mental defenses and create authentic emotional content. This goes beyond wrestling storylines into actual psychological abuse. They're using advanced psychological manipulation techniques, explained a sports psychology expert. This is systematic emotional abuse designed to create genuine trauma for entertainment purposes. WWE has essentially weaponized psychology to torture their own employee for content. The ethical violations are massive. The medical malpractice. Dr. Sampson's leaked medical reports reveal that Jey's physical injuries from his attack were deliberately undertreated to maintain his emotional vulnerability. Proper medical care would have reduced his suffering, which WWE didn't want. Mr. Uso's injuries require extended rest and proper medical attention, Dr. Sampson wrote. However, management wants him competing injured to maintain his authentic pain for television. WWE literally wants Jey to suffer physically to enhance his emotional storylines. They're preventing proper medical care to maintain his vulnerability. The social media monitoring. Even more invasive is evidence that WWE monitors all of Jey's personal social media and communication to ensure he doesn't seek outside emotional support. They're controlling his ability to heal. WWE has access to all of Jey's social media accounts and personal communications, revealed a digital security expert. They're monitoring everything to prevent him from getting help outside their control. This level of personal invasion and control represents workplace harassment at the highest level. WWE is preventing their employee from seeking help for his emotional trauma. The financial manipulation. WWE has also used financial pressure to ensure Jey's compliance with their emotional exploitation. His contract allegedly includes clauses that reduce his pay if he seeks independent psychological help. Jey's contract specifically penalizes him financially for getting outside therapy or counseling, revealed a contract insider. WWE wants complete control over his emotional state. They're using financial coercion to prevent their employee from getting mental health treatment. This is corporate abuse at its most evil. The family financial pressure. WWE's manipulation extends to putting financial pressure on other Uso family members to maintain the separation. Jimmy, Solo, and other family members allegedly face financial penalties for supporting Jey emotionally. WWE made it clear that anyone who helps Jey emotionally will face career consequences, revealed a family source. They've isolated him financially and professionally. The company has turned Jey's own family into financial adversaries to maintain his isolation and vulnerability. This is systematic family destruction. The international exploitation. WWE's exploitation of Jey's emotional trauma has become an international embarrassment that damages American entertainment's reputation worldwide. Foreign media outlets are covering this as a human rights violation. What WWE is doing to Jey Uso would be considered workplace abuse in most civilized countries, noted an international labor rights expert. This is psychological torture disguised as entertainment. WWE's treatment of Jey has become a symbol of American corporate cruelty that embarrasses the entire entertainment industry internationally. The Talent Relations Complicity WWE's Talent Relations Department is fully complicit in the psychological abuse of Jey Uso. Instead of protecting their talent, they're actively participating in his emotional destruction. Talent Relations knows exactly what's happening to Jey and they don't care, revealed a Backstage source. They see his suffering as valuable content, not a human resources problem. The department that's supposed to protect wrestlers is instead facilitating their psychological abuse. This represents a complete failure of corporate responsibility. The medical staff rebellion. Several WWE medical staff members have privately expressed horror at the company's treatment of Jey Uso, but fear termination if they speak out publicly. The medical team knows this is abuse but feels powerless to stop it. "We're watching a man being psychologically destroyed for entertainment," one medical staff member confided. "It goes against everything we swore to do as healthcare providers." WWE has corrupted their own medical staff by forcing them to participate in psychological abuse rather than providing proper care. The legal implications. Legal experts suggest that WWE's systematic psychological abuse of Jey Uso could result in massive lawsuits for workplace harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violation of labor laws. This level of systematic psychological manipulation in the workplace is clearly illegal, explained an employment law expert. WWE is creating a hostile work environment designed to cause emotional trauma. The legal liability from their abuse of Jey could cost WWE hundreds of millions in damages and criminal charges. The industry shamed. The entire professional wrestling industry is being embarrassed by WWE's treatment of Jey Uso. Other wrestling promotions are distancing themselves from WWE's psychological abuse tactics. "What WWE is doing to Jey Uso makes our entire industry look bad," commented an independent wrestling promoter. "This isn't sports entertainment, it's psychological torture." WWE's abuse of Jey is damaging the reputation of all professional wrestling and making the entire industry appear complicit in human rights violations. The fan complicity. Most disturbing is how WWE is making wrestling fans complicit in Jey's psychological abuse by packaging his genuine suffering as entertainment. Every view, every emotional reaction, every social media engagement profits from his pain. WWE has turned wrestling fans into unwitting participants in psychological abuse, noted a media ethics expert. Fans think they're watching entertainment, but they're actually consuming human suffering. By continuing to watch and engage with Jey's emotional content, fans are inadvertently supporting his continued abuse. WWE has weaponized fan loyalty against their own talent. The generational trauma. WWE's destruction of the Uso family has created generational trauma that will affect Jey's children and future generations. The company has damaged not just one man but an entire family legacy. Jey's children are watching their father be psychologically destroyed, revealed a family source. This trauma will affect generations of the Uso family. WWE's abuse has created permanent psychological damage that extends beyond Jey to innocent family members who never chose to be part of this exploitation. The cultural destruction. The systematic destruction of the bloodline represents cultural genocide against Samoan wrestling tradition. WWE has taken a proud cultural heritage and turned it into exploitative content. The bloodline represented Samoan strength and family unity, explained a cultural expert. WWE's destruction of these values is an attack on Samoan culture itself. This goes beyond individual abuse to the systematic destruction of cultural values for corporate profit. WWE is committing cultural violence for entertainment. The Adam Pearce complicity. Adam Pearce's role in facilitating Jey's psychological abuse makes him complicit in corporate torture. The RAW general manager has chosen corporate loyalty over human decency. Instead of protecting Jey from exploitation, Pearce is actively encouraging it. His advice to channel suffering into performance represents the complete moral bankruptcy of WWE's leadership. Pearce could have been a voice of reason and compassion, but instead chose to be another weapon in WWE's psychological warfare against their own talent. The ultimate betrayal. What WWE has done to Jey Uso represents the ultimate betrayal of the trust between performer and company. They took a loyal, dedicated wrestler and systematically destroyed his mental health for content. Jey gave WWE everything: his body, his loyalty, his family's legacy, his cultural heritage, and WWE repaid him by weaponizing his pain for profit. This is corporate evil at its most pure. The call to action: wrestling fans must stop participating in WWE's psychological abuse of Jey Uso. Every view, every engagement, every emotional reaction to his suffering makes you complicit in his torture. Boycott WWE content that exploits Jey's emotional trauma. Demand that the company provide proper mental health care instead of profiting from his pain. Share this video and expose WWE's systematic psychological abuse. Jey Uso needs help, not more exploitation. The truth exposed. What you saw in the trainer's room wasn't touching television, it was the documentation of psychological abuse. WWE filmed a man's mental breakdown and packaged it as entertainment. Jey Uso's emotional message to Adam Pearce wasn't a wrestling segment, it was a cry for help that was ignored and exploited. The company that claims to care about their talent is actively destroying one of their most loyal performers. The complete footage reveals a man begging for compassion and receiving corporate manipulation instead. This is the true face of WWE's treatment of their talent. This is WrestlingNewsCC, and we refuse to be complicit in WWE's psychological abuse. Jey Uso deserves help, healing, and respect, not continued exploitation of his trauma. WWE's treatment of Jey Uso is a crime against humanity disguised as sports entertainment. The wrestling world must demand accountability for this systematic abuse. Save Jey Uso. Stop the abuse. Demand humanity.